Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're going to be playing more of the Seesaw seasonal event, which is an alternate game mode in which at the end of each player's turn, every odd power unit will get damaged by 1, and every even power unit will get boosted by 1. Today we're going to be playing one of my favorite decks, because it uses this event to do exactly the opposite of what you might normally expect. So let's give it a look. So today we're going to be playing an Arachas Swarm Monsters deck that uses the damage from the Seesaw seasonal event to deliberately destroy our own units. And you're asking yourself, Lids, that's crazy. Why would you ever want to do that? And the answer is that we can do that to power up the Scioa'tael of Vergen. So the entire purpose of this deck is to maximize the boosts on the Scioa'tael of Vergen, as well as the Vran Warriors, which are basically a bronze, weaker version of the same type of thing. Now, we've tried versions of this deck in the past in which we combine Scioa'tael of Vergen with other things like Haunt or Keltullus, but this time we're going all-out Scioa'tael, using cards like Caranthir to create additional copies of the Scioa'tael, and cards like Renew to bring the Scioa'tael from our graveyard back onto the playing field. That way we can play it in multiple rounds. Other than that, just about everything is here to either consume units, to boost the Scioa'tael and Vran Warriors, destroy our opponent's units, or spawn 1-power units that will automatically get destroyed at the end of our turn, boosting Scioa'tael and Vran Warrior. So now I'll flip through the deck to show you what else we have. And the Cave Troll is, of course, primarily to protect Scioa'tael. Caranthir, like I said, is primarily to create additional copies of Scioa'tael. Bear in mind, that copy will have 1 power, and so if we don't boost it before the end of our turn, then it will take 1 damage and get destroyed from Seesaw. So that means that we either want to use Caranthir in round 1 and use our tactic to boost that 1 power Scioa'tael, or make sure that we have some units that have order abilities that can consume, so that we can use those order abilities on the same turn that we play this 1 power Scioa'tael, so that she gets boosted before the end of our turn. Then Idarran is one of our best ways to create 1-power units, which could be an additional Scioa'tael, but most often is going to be 1-power drones or rats that we'll use to boost Scioa'tael and the Vran Warriors. Then Apiarian Phantom is one of the few cards that is not here for Scioa'tael or the Vran Warriors. It's simply just a big engine that, because it starts on an even amount of power and gets boosted by 1 every turn, will get boosted by 2 every turn in Seesaw as long as it stays on that even amount of power, and then at the end of the round we can use the damaging order. Then Lacerate has damage that could potentially allow us to destroy some of our opponent's units, but also is an organic card, and because we have a Arachas Swarm, organic cards will spawn in a 1-power drone on our side, which at the end of our turn will get destroyed by Seesaw, boosting Scioa'tael and the Vran Warriors. Similar story with Parasite. And then the Wererat is one of our best consumers, not only because it consumes 1 card every turn, but also because we can use its order ability to spawn in a bunch of rats, which will of course have 1 power, and so at the end of our turn they'll get destroyed, and that will boost Scioa'tael and Vran Warrior. Then Barbegazi is one of our other consuming units, and this is the best card to have on the playing field if we are expecting to have a 1-power Scioa'tael or Vran Warrior by using something like Caranthir or Idarran, because we can consume a unit on the same turn that we play those 1-power Scioa'taels or Vran Warriors. Then Predatory Dive is another organic card, so we'll also spawn 1-power unit on our side, and it will also destroy a card on our opponent's side, and if we have a card on our side, we'll destroy that too, so lots of destruction, and depending on the timing, could even mean we can remove one of our opponent's better cards. Then Arachas Nest spawns in 5 drones, once you consider that it is also an organic card, so this is great for later on in the round when we already have Scioa'tael and Vran Warriors on the playing field. And of course, Spores will allow us to reset a unit, but it also, because it's an organic card, will spawn in a 1-power card on our side, which also helps us get some boosts. Then the Megascope we would ideally use to create copies of the Vran Warrior. Or alternatively, we could use it to create additional copies of the Ice Troll, which, because we're destroying so many of our units, it is very likely that we will have fewer units than our opponent, turning this into another 2 points per turn engine, much like the Apiarian Phantom. Then the Nightwraith will spawn in 1-power rats that will get destroyed at the end of our turn, and if we do have something that can consume it, then we will spawn even more rats out there, so another good late round play once we already have Scioa'tael or Vran Warriors down. So there's a look at the deck, and it is all out Scioa'tael and Vran Warriors, so it is perhaps even crazier than the previous versions of this deck that we've tried. But for that reason, I'm even more excited to give it a try, so let's go see it in action. Alright, so going at Scioa'tael here. And they'll go first. Okay, so we do have Scioa'tael, and we have a Vran Warrior. We also have Caranthir to create a copy of Scioa'tael, And we can use Barbegazi to immediately consume a unit, so that way even that 1-power version of Scioa'tael will not get destroyed by Seesaw. And I think that means that this hand is more or less exactly what we're looking for. Okay, they'll start out with the Dunka, and that'll give them some hand boosting. And when combined with the hand boosting from this tactic and Malcolm Forge, does make me wonder if they might be going with a Glace. In which case, it's going to be really important that we have Last Say and Yrden. So let's keep that in the back of our minds. Let's start with an Apiarian Phantom, because it'll get boosted by 2 every turn. Okay, then they're going to damage it by 3, and that will get it down to 4 power, which actually isn't that bad. Because as long as this stays on an even amount, then it will continue to get boosted by 2 every turn. So now what I'd like to do is get out the Barbegazi. That way, we can use Caranthir to create a copy of Scioa'tael, immediately consume something with Barbegazi, and that way that 1-power Scioa'tael does not get destroyed by Seesaw. Okay, this Cat Witcher can potentially complicate things with its damage, though. And I particularly don't like it hitting that Apiarian Phantom, because now it is on an odd number, so it's going to stay on 5 power for the rest of the round, unless it gets hit again. But now let's go with Caranthir, and it does need to be in the melee row. Create an additional copy of Scioa'tael, and then we consume, probably, Caranthir, to get her up to 3, and now that's a little bit tricky, because of course with an odd amount of power, she'll get damaged by 1 at the end of this turn, which means if they have any more damage, they could fairly easily take her out. So let's deliberately just spawn in 1 more drone. That way she'll get boosted a little bit more when this gets destroyed, making her a little bit more difficult to take out. Okay, then Doublethon Bomber will apply some damage. Fortunately, it does not hit the Scioa'tael. So I think now's the time for the Vran Warrior. And then we could even use the Apiarian Phantom to destroy the Doublethon Bomber or the Dwarven Skirmisher, and in doing so, boost both of these units. However, these are going to get damaged by 1 at the end of their next turn, so we might just wait, and perhaps use Royal Decree on our next turn to get another Vran Warrior, or just play our other Scioa'tael. Get even more boost when we do that. They'll go with the Resilience here. So I actually think what I'd like to do now is go Royal Decree into Idarran and use him, combined with another round of our leader ability, to spawn in an additional drone here. And that way, every time we do that, we will get even more units destroyed and therefore even more boosts. So they'll pass, which means that we will win on even cards here, but they will still have this resilience. So let's take the round 1 win here. And so we draw into another Arachas Nest, which is good for setting up the Scioa'tael. And Megascope right now, only thing we could create a copy of would be Nightwraith, and that's not what we're looking to do. So I think these 2 are the cards we're probably looking to swap. Let's see if we can get the other Vran Warrior. Predatory Dive is quite nice. I think we don't need Megascope in that case. Spores could be useful, especially if we're expecting for them to have a Glace. We actually have a throwaway card here, which means we could destroy Gabor Zigrin with Predatory Dive, though I'm not sure that's worth the investment. So to tell you the truth, I think we may just dry pass here, allow them to take the round 2 win, but even if they do so, we'll be on 10 cards apiece in round 3, but most importantly, we will have Last Say, so we can use things like Yrden and or Spores to reset the Glace that I'm expecting them to have. And so they'll play, ooh, another card with Resilience. Okay, that is clever. So that will give them some carryover value heading into round 3. Okay, and we draw into the Vran Warrior and the Megascope. So that's a nice combo because, of course, we'll be able to spawn in a bunch of 1-power units to boost up the Vran Warrior, and we can create an additional copy of that Vran Warrior with the Megascope. And so I think we stick with this in that case. Okay, they'll go with a Cat Witcher. That will deal some damage. So I suppose we go Cave Troll in the melee row now. Then next turn, we'll go Vran Warrior, range row, Megascope, range row for another Vran Warrior, and then we'll start breaking out the She-Trolls, and then we'll start destroying units. Then here comes their Defender, and I imagine they are planning to hide a Glace behind that. Surprised they didn't get Roach out in round 1 or 2. But either way, now it's time for the Vran Warrior. Okay, and so you will get boosted if you have armor, and as of right now, you certainly do. However, Seesaw is going to take that away from you, fortunately. So now let's go Megascope. Okay, and the Dwarf Berserker is going to deal some damage to us. And this is where we play She-Troll. Okay, they have another Dwarf Berserker for even more damage. And, ooh, they're boosting now. Okay, maybe it's not a Glace, because if they did have a Glace, presumably, they'd be saving that leader ability for her. But either way, it looks like this melee row is ultimately where we're going to want to reset them with Yrden. But before we do any of that, we get our second She-Troll out using Renew. Like so. Okay, then they have Zoltan Warrior. And they'll get some more Rowdy Dwarves out there. And so if we go with Predatory Dive here, we would remove Roach. Otherwise, it's going to be one of these Rowdy Dwarves. Not sure that's going to make a huge difference, unless they happen to have a more significant 2-power unit later on. I suppose maybe we save that just in case. So let's go with Arachas Nest in that case. Instead, focus on our boosting. So all those get destroyed, and that gives us a lot of boosts. Okay, then they have Munro here. We'll transform those Rowdy Dwarves, which is partially the reason why I was thinking we might want to try to destroy those rather than Roach. But the conversion happens before we get the chance to remove them. And it looks like he was also one of the targets of their hand boosting. And since he's not in the melee row, means that that may be our target for Spores, because of course, only unit that we can target in this melee row directly is the Defender. So I suppose that means we go with another round of Arachas Nest here. It's either that, or it's Predatory Dive. That'll give us another sizable boost, enough so that we have actually taken the lead here, but now our She-Trolls are undefended, because we've lost our Cave Troll. And that means they can use Geralt of Rivia, and that hurts. That hurts a lot. Fortunately, of course, we do still have one of them, and we do still have our Yrden, so we can return the favor to a certain extent. So now let's use a round of Arachas Swarm, and then follow it up with the Predatory Dive. Then we'll get rid of Geralt. Okay, then they have Gascon. And where is he going? Looks like it's melee row, and that's great, because he will get boosted. And so that means this melee row is looking even better for our Yrden reset. So I think we still save this for our last turn, in which case we're looking at Spores on this turn to reset either the Cat Witcher for 1 point, or Munro here for 3 points, so that's definitely preferable. Let's go for that. Okay, then their last card is a Dwarven Skirmisher. It's not that big, especially because they can't play in the melee rows. They don't even get to use their deploy ability for it. So that means it all comes down to Yrden. Before we do it, though, let's throw down a couple of Arachas Swarms, because these will still get destroyed at the end of our turn, giving us a few more boosts. And Yrden, is it enough? Melee row, for certain, is the place we should target, and it looks like it absolutely is. So we'll take the win. Alright, so we're going against Nilfgaard here. And we'll go first. Okay, and we drew into She-Troll and Idarran. That's a nice combo. As well as a Vran Warrior. which we could create an additional copy of using the Megascope. Even have some decent control here with a couple of Predatory Dives and a Parasite. May not need both of these Nightwraiths here. Let's get rid of one of them. And a Wererat is definitely a good pickup. In which case, I think we have a pretty well-rounded hand here. Let's go with this. Okay, so let's start with the Vran Warrior. Now they're going to go with Ramon. What are they going to create a copy of? Okay, it's an Apiarian Enforcers. So it looks like they may be focusing on damage here. And so I think let's ease into things a little bit here by starting with Idarran. And then we'll consider doing Sheet Roll. Then they're going with the Ardfian Tortoise. That'll give them a decent number of points. Let's actually go with the Megascope here first to create a copy of the Vran Warrior. And with Idarran out here means we'll actually get a couple of copies. Okay, now they're going with the Blightmaker. That'll give them 2 damage when they bring the Mage Assassin out from their deck, and they do have that damage from the Apiarian Forces as well. So it looks like they're targeting Idarran, and that was part of the idea behind playing him before the Sheet Roll. Now that they've gotten rid of some of their damage, let's play Sheet Roll, and give her the tactic to make sure that she doesn't get locked. And then here come the other Vran Warriors. So now we're all set up to start destroying units. Okay, they're going to go with an Emissary, which will give them a boost, but it is 1 power, which means it's actually going to get destroyed on the end of our next turn, and that will help boost our units. And I think we might want to go with Parasite here. It's only a 5 power unit, but because it can deal some damage, that's probably still worth doing. And it gives us some more 1 power units, which will get destroyed and boost up our units. Okay, now they're going with Mata. So that will, of course, extend this round. And it'll give us our Ice Roll. Let's go with a Nightwraith here, because now that we have all of our units to get boosted whenever we destroy units, getting a bunch of these rats out here will help us out a lot. And I've definitely seen some cards moving in their hand, so I think they do have Sunset Waters, though they will pass here. And so we will take a convincing round 1 win, though we did play 1 more card than they did. Okay, so we drew into the Megascope, another Nightwraith, and Yrden. Not sure we have an immediate need for the Nightwraith. Let's get rid of you, and Oneiromancy is a great pickup. Then we don't have a great candidate for the Megascope, and Caranthir could help. But we've already played Sheet Roll, so we don't have what would normally be our best combo with that. And because we played 1 more card than our opponent, I think we're just looking to get a throwaway card here. So let's go Oneiromancy into maybe the Apiarian Phantom, which, to be fair, it's not so much a throwaway as much as it's just a card that can still be valuable even after we pass. Okay, they'll go with the Blightmaker. And it looks like the same combo they did in round 1 here, and unfortunately that does apply 2 damage, which means it puts the Apiarian Phantom on an automatic power, so it's no longer going to automatically get boosted by 2 every turn. So that does disrupt our setup significantly, because it no longer has the long-term value. So I think we pass here, and just accept the round 2 loss. Okay, so we get round 2 of Oneiromancy, a Vran Warrior, and then Spores. And Yrden plus Spores is potentially not a great combo, but then again, Spores is still an organic card, so that is helpful. Caranthir plus Vran Warrior works well. So we now have a decent combo for that, in which case I think this will work. So those start off with another Apiarian Enforcers. And they're going to use their leader ability here to get it boosted a bit. So that may mean that it's even worth using a Predatory Dive here. We'd ideally already have Vran Warriors and or Sheet Roll down there to get boosted in the process. This might be a rare opportunity to destroy a unit that they've spent some time and effort boosting and will also have some damage. So let's get rid of it. And like I said, that means this little drone here is not going to do anything for us. Okay, now they go with an Ardfian Crossbowman, which is another potential source of damage. Ooh, and they do opt to boost this one as well. And that'll get Affin out here and Sunset Wanderers. So that will become their biggest unit. But of course, we have both Spores and Yrden, so that might not be much of a problem. And now that they have 3 units out there, I think this is a clear time to play Ice Troll. Okay, now they go in Pure Brigade. And they should have soldiers out here, so this will get another one out from their decks, so they definitely have more units out there than we do now. Unfortunately, though, that damage from the crossbowman puts the Ice Troll on an odd number, so it is no longer the automatic 2-point per turn engine. So I think let's go with Caranthir here. And use him to create a copy of the Vran Warrior to start setting up our Vran Warrior plus She-Troll stuff. And let's get one of these drones out here just to boost that Vran Warrior a bit, otherwise it'll be pretty vulnerable. Okay, now they're going with Roderick, which does put a weak unit on our side, and they'll use it to play Rothans here. Now, what disloyal unit are they going to create? It's an Emissary. That will boost them once more, and that's not a huge problem, because of course we have a lot of resetting, and we will be able to destroy that Emissary at the end of our turn through Seesaw, which will now boost our Vran Warrior, in which case I think we play our second Vran Warrior here, so that that'll get boosted as well. So there goes the Emissary, and therefore we get the boost. They follow up with a quick Hoakim here. They have lots of Spies. That'll give them another heavily boosted unit. But again, we have the ability to reset. And we can put Spores on the biggest unit in one row, and then Yrden to reset the entire other row, so even if they split their boosts, that's still not a big problem. I think now we go with Wererat. And let's consume that Hoakim, because I imagine they might have something like Coup de Grace, which would normally allow them to play that card twice. But now that Wererat has eaten Hoakim, they can't do it anymore. And that's exactly what they were looking to do. Roderick is still not a bad card for them to use Coup de Grace on, but not quite as good. And then they'll deliberately play this to the other side of Wererat, where it will not get eaten. And then Ox to lock. Okay, now if they have Lacerate in their hand, they will lock both of our Vran Warriors. No, it's just one. Okay. So thankfully, one Vran Warrior still up and running. The other one does get shut down, though. I think now it's time to use Oneiromancy, get Renew. And of course, we'll use Renew to get the She-Troll back. And then now let's use Wererat's ability to get some of these rats out here. I think we are probably losing a little bit of power from the Wererat because we don't have enough room to spawn all those rats, but after we get the boost from the Vran Warrior and She-Troll, I think on net we're still gaining points. Okay, now they're going with the Emissary. This is another card that will boost them, which again is not a huge problem, and it will get destroyed at the end of our turn, so it will help our Vran Warrior and She-Troll as well. And maybe they realize that, because they just forfeited. Didn't get the chance to use our Yrden or Spores, but with those, we would have certainly been able to finish the job. So there's a look at a self-destructive but very powerful monsters deck for the new Seesaw seasonal event. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and leave a comment down below. Let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions you'd like us to experiment with next. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.